Hello everyone, it's Friday the 8th of May, VE Day, 75 years after the event, and we give thanks both for the service of those who got us through the cataclysm of World War II and for the peace that has largely endured in Europe since. Now, as you probably well know, there are 150 Psalms in the Book of Psalms, but there are others as well, embedded in various biblical narratives. For example, Jonah's prayer from the belly of the whale is really a psalm. Jonah is in trouble. He cries out, God puts things right. This is the usual pattern in these types of psalm. It works for Jonah, and appropriately, he sings at the end, with a song of thanksgiving, I will sacrifice to you, O Lord, salvation, deliverance, come from the Lord. Basically, there are three categories of psalm. There are psalms of orientation, reflective of when the wind of the Spirit is at your back. You are turned towards God and tuned in to God's ways. God, the world, your life are all in sync. You feel you could walk on water or dance in the air. Now, there are also psalms of disorientation. Nothing is in sync. Everything is painful. You are being pulled under, down into the pit. You cry out. At some point, after the crying, in the silence and in the waiting, psalms of disorientation wonderfully and radically change direction to new orientation. God intervenes to bring healing, reversal, rescue, transformation. The psalmist discovers God afresh and often more deeply than before. Characteristically, this finds expression in thanksgiving and in joy. Then there is a selection of psalms given over to celebrating from the outset new orientation to God. These envisage the new creation and God being all in all. Psalm 96 is a good example as it proclaims, the Lord reigns, as it depicts all creation rejoicing and as it looks forward to God delivering justice and equity to people everywhere. But what if the newness doesn't come? What if the healing doesn't arrive? If you cry out and your voice echoes in the emptiness and nothing happens? No rescue, no help, no God. These are serious questions about a serious matter. And you know, if you have lived long enough, you will, I suspect, know of examples that fit the frame. Now, thankfully, the Psalms overwhelmingly bear witness to how God moves into circumstances of extremity to bring new life and new light. But one time in the Psalms, the usual pattern fails to function. This is perhaps the saddest psalm of all. It is Psalm 88. Day and night the psalmist cries out to God, pleading to be heard. She pours out her heart to God in a long and poignant litany of how hard and how hurt her life is. She is isolated, shut in, depressed. Her eyes are dim with grief. From her youth she has been afflicted and close to death. She has suffered terror and despair. Through it all, she continues to call out to God. So this is a person of faith going through an endless dark night of the soul. Yet she never gives up on God. Even as she feels the flood waters rising to engulf her, she persists in prayer. She ends like this. You have taken my companions and my loved ones from me. My closest friend is darkness. End. Silence. Darkness. Because we're steeped in the usual pattern of these psalms, we look for and we long for that intervention from God to make things right, or to at least bring comfort. But it does not come. There is only darkness, silence, end. What do we do with this? Why is it there? If ever there were a candidate for God's loving intervention, it is this broken, faithful person whose voice lingers in the soul. Now you understand, we are beyond the theologically shallow and glib at this point. There are no neat, easy answers. You may have your own thoughts, and I would love to hear them. But for me, it was a stunning act of pastoral sensitivity and genius to keep this psalm in. It reminds us that there are situations of deep hurt and longing, perhaps in our own lives, certainly in the lives of others and in the life of the world, that do not lend themselves to quick fix solutions. Those situations were myriad through World War II and have multiplied in the tragedies brought about by coronavirus. Given all that, I think it was an act of theological insight and genius that the Gospel writers included Jesus' words from the Psalms in their account of how he died. For when Jesus said, my God, why have you forsaken me?" and then died, he was moving into amazing solidarity with all those, like the person in Psalm 88, who end in darkness and in despair. This insists that the God we know in Jesus is with us in absolutely everything, even the deepest, longest, most protracted darkness of all. But the resurrection says that despair and darkness will not have the final word. Think of it like this. The resurrection is the ultimate act of intervention to bring new life and new orientation, and it brings hope to everyone. Let us pray. God, who hears and comes near, do not lose us in the darkness or in our fears. Let us know and feel that Jesus is with us, even when we feel lonely, isolated, and abandoned. Amen. Before I go, let me invite you to worship on Sunday. It's the start of Christian Aid Week, and we'll be celebrating how together we can create a better world for all, so that the world's poor don't have to cry out anymore. Because there'll be no door-to-door collection this year, Bandside have set up a Just Giving page in support of Christian Aid. Details have been sent by MailChimp and are on our Facebook page and our website. Look them up. Note also that from next week, we'll change these talks from Monday, Wednesday and Friday to Tuesday and Thursday. So make a note of that. For now, until Sunday, keep going, stay safe, pray the Psalms, and God bless.